Come here. Get off.
Hey y'all. So, it gives me all of the pleasure to not only welcome y'all to this week's show, but to tell you that cousin of the show, Sheree L. Greer, is back in the house.
Cousin.
Hey girl. So Sheree's pronouns are she and her, and she is a text-based artist living in Tampa, Florida. In 2014, she founded Kitchen Table Literary Arts to showcase and support the work of Black women writers, and she's also the author of 2 novels, Let the Lover Be and A Return to Arms, as well as the short story collection Once and Future Lovers. Sheree is a VONA Voices alum, Estrella Lesbian Foundation grantee, Yaddle Fellow, and Ragdale Fellow. Her essay Bars, published in Fourth Genre magazine, was nominated for a Pushcart Prize and was notably named in Best American Essays 2019. That's a big fucking deal.
Thank you.
I have those. I buy those collections in like paperback and have them in my house.
All right, it's noted in there. My next goal is to have it in there, like featured. So
you fucking fancy.
And it will happen.
It's progress, exactly. That's what's up. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yay.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So listeners, just know ahead of time, this gonna be an episode.
No pressure.
I mean, no,
because it's always fun times.
Yeah, it is.
It's always fun times.
I love y'all so
much.
So I'm so glad y'all come.
So
same.
With that, we just gonna jump all in your cooch.
Let's go
from the beginning.
Let's go.
Okay.
I showered and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
So, when do you remember first masturbating, and what was the technique?
I want to say I was like 5 or 6. Maybe 5. I had this doll. It was called Walking Wanda. Okay. And I feel like it was the off-brand of whatever popular walking doll was at the time, because my mom was good for some off-brand shit. And so but I had it, exactly. So the doll was like, I feel like I was just a little taller than the doll. And like you hold her hand and she's supposed to like walk with you. It doesn't work that well, but I remember her outfit. She was Black. My mom was all about Black dolls. She was she had these like really fun stretchy pants on, and this like I feel like it was like a neon green or neon pink shirt or something. But that was my girlfriend. Like I didn't know probably relationship wise, like girlfriend, boyfriend, stuff like that. But I knew that me and her was making out and humping at night, and it was on. So I feel like,
and then you take her to church in the morning.
I feel like that was the beginning. I remember her very vividly.
I feel like we need to like catalog this. I want to say, I don't know, 80% of the people who we've asked this question, it's been like toys.
So far, we've only had one person that didn't say it was either a pillow or a toy.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone has been, which is why
mine was a pillow.
Yes.
Yours was a stuffed animal, right?
It was a Minnie Mouse that was life size. It was huge. Mm-hmm. We had a friend that had Teddy Ruxpin, and the nose was hard.
Oh, wow.
And the helmet
just hard enough.
That's true.
Yeah, everyone had a variation of either a stuffed animal, a doll, or a pillow.
So I feel like it's easy to like just have it, and then I don't know what makes. I wish I could go back and think through like what the thought process was, but like you own it, and then you figure out a little. Like,
this feels good.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And then welcome to your body.
Yeah. And it's
Yes.
easy. Like, to this day, I still have trouble, like, digitally.
Oh, no, not me.
That's not really my jam.
Not me. Not me.
I prefer the path of least resistance, which is to use some help.
It's quicker that way. It is quicker when you use some accoutrement.
Accoutrement.
It is easier and faster. That's true.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that is
let's get to it. I'm just trying to get to sleep. Come on now.
Exactly.
Yep.
Bang it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, how old were you when you had your first kiss?
I think I was in 4th grade, and it was it was so tricky. It was this dude Tremaine, who he liked me so much. He stole one of his mama's rings and brought it to school and gave it to me.
Wow.
And I remember we had a conference about it, and then after the conference, because of course, his mom came up to school. Apparently it was like an expensive ring. It was red. Maybe it was a real ruby. I don't fucking know. I was in 4th grade. And so I remember kissing him before he gave me the ring, though, because he rode the bus and I walked. So we had made a plan on how to kiss, and then he had to leave or whatever. And so he brought me this ring, and then it was this big thing. My mom had to come up to the school because the principal at the time, Mrs. Wilkerson, wanted to have a talk with me about like my worth and like how, like, what did I do to get the ring and why, and like, this could set up expectations. It was like this whole thing, and I felt like it was way blown out of proportion for this little peck that we did.
But why was it about your worth
exactly.
and what you accepted, and not that this little nigga stole his mama's ring?
No.
It was. I remember that conversation about like,
damn, patriarchy always.
If anything, good. I'm glad you're getting paid for them packs. Pay up, little nigga. Pay up.
But yeah, it was a whole thing, and I be thinking about shit like that and how those early things start framing your whole relationship to, intimacy and attraction and all that stuff early on. But yeah, I remember being in trouble because this boy brought me a ring.
Because someone did something to you. I remember when I was in school, I was like 3rd grade, and this little boy touched my butt. And I wrote it in my diary, and I was on like high alert for like weeks, thinking someone would find it in my diary. Like something wrong like something was wrong with me. First, I would touch my butt in the 3rd grade. So, I mean, could you be mad at him? And second, like, it wasn't my fucking fault, right? And so we're putting on little girls, like, because someone does this to you, you did something wrong. Nah, fuck that. Fuck you, Miss Jenkins. Was it Jenkins?
Wilkerson.
That's not what she said.
Next question, please.
I'm
sure there's also
some Miss Jenkins somewhere that's shaming little girls, and fuck her too.
Yeah, fuck her too.
I'm certain.
Okay, so I'm all too busy kicking. Oh, how old were you when you had a sense of your gender identity?
I feel like I knew fairly early that I was a girl, and I wasn't, because I have sisters, and like the only man in the house was my dad, and so we knew kind of right away, like, it's a house full of girls and this dude. And so I knew,
and this dude.
Yeah, I knew fairly early that I was a girl, and I felt like a girl, but also whatever that means. But I also felt like the wrong kind of girl. And so I don't know that they still gender the toy sections, but I remember the toy sections being this just highly gendered area. And I always wanted to go in the boys section. And I felt, I don't know, I felt like that was wrong. And I felt like I was bucking against something, and that the things that I liked weren't the things I was supposed to like. And I remember I got this I got this baby carriage for it must have been for Christmas one year. And I had this panda and a Cabbage Patch doll named Nicholas. And I used to make them be like cops. And I used to put them in the carriage like that was their car. And so I'd be zipping through the house with the carriage and they'd get in crashes and all this stuff. And I was having fun, but also you're doing it wrong. Like that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And I felt that very early. And then the great disappointment of having to put on a shirt, you know, when you leave that time of that freedom of girlhood. And then it's like, yeah, go put a shirt on. And you're like, huh? But yeah.
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 So I felt that.
I remember kind of dreading getting to that point with my kid, like, and not wanting to put that on her, but also it's a hard norm to buck if you have your kids around people who are not your immediate family, right? Yeah. I very much actually remember like when we got to that point, but also it wasn't actually ultimately me that told her to put a shirt on. She just decided that it was time to wear a shirt. So I ended up not having to tell her, but like, where did she get that from?
Yeah.
You did have to tell her to start wearing pants, wasn't that? Like she was a pantsless child.
Well, that's
like it was like
freedom.
Company's over. Let me put on a shirt, but I'm gonna run out with my booty out.
But then conversely, I had to like coax her into sleeping like free, like we do, so she could like when we start having conversations about like health, about reproductive health, and that was like a whole thing trying to get her to then take them off. It's the things that you don't think you ever have, the conversations you never think you have to have until you have a kid. And you're like, oh, they don't know shit. You got to teach them everything. And try not to teach them the terrible things.
That's the hard part.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
My son dresses like a Mormon. He would like wear undershirts nonstop. I'm like, dude, are you wearing like your God garment or whatever? Like he'll be hot out. We going to the pool and he have an undershirt on under his swim shirt. And I'm like, bruh.
He did. He doesn't do it anymore.
He does not. He does not.
Some of this shit just works itself out. You know what I'm saying? Like I never liked sleeping in bedclothes. They were like the worst. Like your gown get all twisted around your waist and shit. Like take that shit off. And so, I ain't had no problems with that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think the only thing I really liked sleeping in and felt, because it was so weird how on the one hand I was getting these messages about what it means to be a little girl, how you're supposed to act, what's acceptable and not acceptable, what's strange or different or weird. And then also, and I feel like therapy helped, but I have so much more compassion for my mom because I feel like I was a weird little kid and I think she was just trying to figure it out. Because like she got me like R2D2 underoos and shit, and like she bought me the stuff that I wanted. So like I wanted a wrestling ring and the WWF action figures, and so she got that stuff with me without no sense of shame and things. But then also that was like at home, so like out in the world it was a different kind of message. So it was, you gonna wear this skirt, you gonna, you know, it's time to start being a girl in these kind of traditional ways. And I was like, oh,
that's confusing.
for sure. And that confusion like followed me for decades, sadly. So
well, we know that you first started experimenting with Wanda. How old were you when you started experimenting with other people?
7 or 8, but not, I mean, we talked about this a little bit. I was sexually abused by my uncle. And so that was the first time that another person was involved. And it's when when I think about that, and I just finished like trauma therapy about it earlier this year. Some of the hardest, it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. And realizing that I carried so much shame and guilt around it. And again, like Erica, like you're saying, like these things happen to us, and like girls are basically reared to carry that shit. Like we did something wrong, and I carried that. And that's not that's not what it is. So when I think about reasons why I kind of buried all of that so deeply, is I was afraid of some of the judgment and some of the false equivalencies that come out of talking about childhood sexual abuse. So being queer, I had a very strong awareness later on, like I can't talk about this because people are going to be like, well, that's why your ass is gay. Like I was afraid of folks thinking that. And that, you know, Wanda came before that. Like I knew, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
he was like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is happening.
Blank.
But what I think though, especially after coming out of the therapy about it, is I already felt like wrong. I already felt like I had to hide something. I already felt like I had like this shameful secret. So when that happened, it was almost like, well, this just goes in the same place where that was. So all of this shame, all of this wrongness, all of this, you know, you're not the right kind of girl, your feelings are strange and wrong, like all of that just got kind of bottled and hidden. And what happened after is, you know, just immense like just lots of confusion and blame. And then also though wanting to prove that I could be normal or I could be good or right. And all of that came out of that abuse. And it's, you know, I wish that we talked more about like trying to asking your children, like, you know, what are you afraid of? What do you think about this? You know what I'm saying? Like people are so, I was just talking about this with my wife, like people are so concerned with like what celebrities are doing and what all these like, oh, the way it affects our kids. And it's like, you worried about a little Nas X video and it's your motherfucking brother that's fucking with your daughter, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
worry about the wrong shit.
The threat is the call is coming from inside the house.
From inside you know the house,
right?
Like, yeah. So I just think that, or I wish that I was in a space then to feel like I wasn't doing something wrong. And I think about how much that could have helped with my partner, like developing my own sexual identity and my sexual self in just a healthier way, particularly when it came to partners and navigating that.
And separate from something that happened to you.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, that goes back to what we were talking about with fucking Miss Wilkerson.
Yeah.
Like, we teach our kids, our girls especially, that they have no real autonomy, that we are supposed to take on the shame and the responsibility of the things that other people do to us. And so it only would fucking make sense to not be able to separate those things. Nothing happens in the vacuum.
Yeah. No autonomy and all the responsibility. That shit.
It's a fucking perfect.
It's like, what the fuck is that?
Breeding ground for lots of codependence.
Yeah.
Thank you, society.
And violence. I mean, I literally, I mean, I was raped in college and went through that same cycle as someone who perhaps you would think would, but a fucking 20-year-old is still a kid.
For sure.
Yep. Yeah. So first, thank you for sharing that.
Thank y'all for the
Thank you for sharing
the
that
safety and the like. I
us,
feel I feel safe with y'all. So thank you.
You're welcome. And it's always, the one of the most difficult things going through therapy was like talking to little Erica and letting her know,
Girl.
like, girl, what day we did that exercise,
Girl.
I literally like cracked in half because it's like, tell Erica, little Erica, it's not her fault. You are gonna take care of her.
Uh-huh. Girl,
like how little Erica gonna trust this blubbering idiot?
I did not know a person could cry and snot that much when we got to that day of the man.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, my therapist used to be in a spot with like a bunch of, like those little like rental offices or whatever. I remember that session, I was crying so loud. I remember at one point thinking like, damn, they probably think she beat my ass in here.
My therapist had a little like a sound machine thing outside her door. So like I started because I'm getting even more and more sentimental and just in touch with my feelings these days. So I started and I was trying to be hard about it. I was like, so I was trying, and then once it started hitting, she was like, "I'm gonna just hold on real quick," and she turned that thing on, and then man, oh Lord.
It's we talk about therapy on every episode, and
I'm here for it.
Going through that trauma, that portion, because I too had to work through all of that, and I remember being kind of continually surprised, and I still am, at how much trauma I experienced as a young person, and how much I dissociated and didn't really recognize it for what it was. Until I would be in sessions and be describing stuff, and the therapist would be like, "Oh, wait. You just looked me dead in my face and said that with a straight face. Do you hear what the fuck you just said?" Yeah. And I'd be like, "What?" And she'd be like, "Say it again out loud, slowly." Yeah.
Ooh, that's just wild. Because that's also part of what we're encouraged to do, right? Is you deal with it. There's you got shit to do. People are counting on you. So on and so forth.
Suck that shit up and roll.
You supposed to be strong.
Go ahead. And then with stuff that happened when you were a kid, it's almost like, man, that's so far long ago. And it's like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So now that we've opened our guts about,
now we can talk about all the shit now.
Yeah. Now let's get even more in your cooch. Tell us about your first time having partnered sex. Consensual partnered sex.
So, it's so weird. So my high school boyfriend, and it's funny because I ran into him a couple years ago. He's a bus driver in Milwaukee. And I was in Milwaukee doing this workshop, and I got on a bus, and he was like, "Sheree?" And I was like,
"That's wild."
Yeah, it was weird because, and I had such a wave of emotions because like I broke up with him on some whack ass. Oh gosh, it was so bad. But it wasn't bad. I broke up with him because I was about to start college. He was a year below me. My hot ass went to 2 college parties, and I came home like, I can't go into college with no boyfriend. I can't do it. Can't do it.
That was me. I was like, wrong. Who brings sand to the beach? I was
like, oh no,
my dumb ass brought sand to the beach, and it was
girl.
all bad.
I was like, But all that to say, he was. I met him my sophomore year. And I had a strict, like, don't date people I go to school with rule in high school because I just didn't need you around all day like that. So I met him. My sophomore year, and he was like my best friend. Like, we had so much fun together, and mostly because like he just let me do the like non-girly shit that I like to do. So like we played video games, we played basketball together. He was just so much fun. And I love kissing. And so we would kiss like all the time. Erica, don't make that face. You're in the minority here. So, okay.
Exactly.
So she's like, ugh. So we would kiss till we were like fucking dizzy. And it was so great. And I would just relax and all this stuff. So, but I was never ready to have sex. So he wasn't a virgin and I was. And so we would make out, then the hands came, and then, you know, what they call it, just grinding. Yeah. I mean, we got real close for like a year and a half. And I had one of my best friends at the time, because I feel like everybody in my friend group had sex already, except for me. And so it was kind of like a, girl, what you waiting on? Like, it's not a big deal, blah, 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 blah. And like, I knew I wasn't waiting for marriage, because I was like, I didn't even think I would ever get married anyway. And so I knew I wasn't waiting for that. I was afraid of getting pregnant. Like, that was foremost in my mind, especially because my older sister got pregnant at 17, and it like did all this weird shit to our family. And I was like, I definitely don't want to do that. So that's what I was afraid of. And he was just so sweet and nice and never pressured me or anything. And so his mom worked second shift. And so I would, we'd be at his house and, unsupervised. And one day I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And so we tried, and it was too painful. I was like, nope, time out. Nope. And he was just so gracious and sweet. Like, I remember him being so sweet. And then we tried again of like a month or so later, and it was fine. It was fine.
That's beautiful.
So
that's beautiful.
I'm happy.
I'm like,
that was my experience.
There's consent, there's listening, there's communicating needs, and then ultimately,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's it. I'm gonna take your story and tell my son that, like, so much better than fucking on the waterbed.
Yes, I heard y'all episodes. So. We got just some different experience up around here. But I was thinking about, Greer was saying, like, this build up in your mind about what it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to be. And I don't think I ever really had that. Like, it just felt like something, again, that I was like supposed to do. And that is how, in retrospect, I approached most of my sexual dealings with men. Was like, this is something that's expected. I'm supposed to do this. So let's just get it over with. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
How did you get to the point where you stopped feeling like that was what you had to do? What did that journey look like?
It took a long, long time. I actually remember the first guy that I did not have sex with because I didn't want to. And it was so awkward because he had invited me out to Cleveland, which is where he lived. And so he had sent me these, even though he said, like, we were just friends. And he was like, oh, it's just, I was telling him, like, I'm not trying to be romantic or nothing. Like, I'll come out and we'll hang out. It'll be fine. And, just trying to make sure I'm being honest and he knows. And he's like, oh, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. He said he had a spare room. But when I got there, the spare room was like full of junk. It wasn't even no bed in there. So I was very upset by that. but I was like, okay, let's still try to have a good time. And so we had a good time until that night. And so I was like, I guess so we slept in the same bed, but like hella separated. And then he tried, and
You started doing that scooch.
Yeah. And I had in my mind, like, I remember thinking, like, I don't want to do this. I don't have to do this. And so I was like, right? No. And it was awkward because he turned back around and scooted over. And then I think he masturbated. I'm pretty sure he was masturbating. And it was freaking me out. But like, I didn't know anybody in Cleveland. So I cut my trip very short and came back home. But I knew, but even as gross and weird as that was, I felt like powerful in a way that I hadn't before. And then that was the beginning of me thinking, like, I don't ever have to fuck anybody that I don't want to. So I remember that. But the journey was about kind of, I think it was all tied in. So many things were happening in my life around that time. I was working a job. It's funny. Working a job that I, didn't want really. I had taken my first creative writing class before I graduated. I was like, oh shit, I want to be a writer, but got this business degree. So I was working this job and feeling stuck. I had started dating women and kind of just exploring that a little bit. And I just started, I don't know, I just had this feeling like I was 25 and I was like, this can't be life. Like there has to be more than this. And it just kind of gave way to little small moments of decisions that when you look at them on the whole, it's like, oh, you growing up, you are becoming yourself. And then even that took some more decades. So,
Yeah, that's just real. I'm 40 and I feel like I'm still becoming. Yeah, it's real shit. So when did you first have an orgasm with a partner that wasn't walking? What's her name?
It was with my high school boyfriend. He we were gonna break up eventually anyway because he had feelings about going down on me that just wasn't gonna fly. And I knew that's a hard I'm
no.
like, this is not gonna work. And so we had talked about it a couple of times and I was just like, I don't know. So I had in my mind that it wasn't. So then there was this time we were doing it and he was always like really good with his hands. And so that was a good night, but I feel like he was trying to prove to me that he didn't have to put his mouth on me or something. And I was like, man, that was really great. However,
could have been greater.
It could have been greater. Yeah.
Okay. So what 3 words would you use to describe your sex in your teens?
I would say uncertain, perfunctory, and stressful.
Said like a writer. Like I would have used like 10 words to come up with perfunctory. Like, yeah. Well, you gotta do it, but you don't, but you do it. Yeah.
Just going through the motions.
I love you writers. Y'all are the best. Okay. You want to tell us any more about the 3 words?
I mean, in my
You don't
teens,
have to.
because it was such if I'm thinking teens, I didn't have sex till I was 17, going on 18. And that was with the one guy. And then I broke up with him pretty shortly after. And then my next partner was not my boyfriend. I didn't have another monogamous relationship until my 20s after that after him. So my next partner was someone who was very enthusiastic about oral sex, which made me very happy. But at the same time, there was so many other messages about like what you're supposed to be doing when you're 19, 20. What does it mean to be, in college, and like what relationships should be like. And I was going on dates that weren't that enjoyable, but like it's the end of the night. So what you supposed to do? Oh, well, he invited me over, or he's coming over. And so it just felt a lot like, I don't know, like checking boxes off or something. Like this is how you are a free college girl. Like, and so that's where most of that comes from.
Okay.
Right. So now, and I think we just kind of bled teens into 20s, but there's a bunch of years there. So what 3 words would you use for your 20s?
Exploratory. Low stakes. I guess that's one word.
We'll put a hyphen in
Okay.
there.
So exploratory, low stakes, and what would be a third word? Fun? Yeah, fun. I had some fun.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say, actually.
I was like running through, because like I mentioned, I wasn't in any monogamous relationships for a long while. And so I'm just running through my, my sexual history. And I'm like, there was a lot of fucking going on, and a lot of it was fun because I was exploring and I was trying to figure things out. So definitely from like 24 on was like I was trying to find my groove. But yeah.
Tell us more about low stakes.
Mostly because so for the beginning part of my 20s, I was sleeping primarily with these 2 dudes. One was in town, one was out of town. And it was like really like no expectations about things. And so in between that, knowing that this wasn't about a relationship, we weren't talking about where this is going, and then I was also dating within that, it didn't feel like anything was really hanging in the balance. Again, I have to say that that's from my perspective, because I do also acknowledge that my behavior at the time, like low stakes, not giving a fuck, just doing me, not all of my sexual partners shared that perspective. And so that would cause some friction, but I would be like, oh, this isn't fun anymore, so I'm done. And I didn't really have no qualms about just being like, oh, this isn't fun. I'm just not going to call you anymore or whatever. Not really thinking about how that cut off of communication or I never told anybody like, I love you, or this is what I see for us, and things like that. I was careful not to kind of build up expectations for others, but at the same time, you don't never know what other people are thinking or hoping for in these instances. So I also know that during that time, it was low stakes for me, very selfishly. And I know for a fact that I hurt some people, and I am, I'm sorry for that. But
I think it's dope that you were able to recognize that, because in my 20s, I did no wrong.
None.
No, whatsoever. So, what about your 30s? Give us 3 words.
So I started dating my now wife around the time that I was turning 30. So I was thinking deeply about this decade with her, and I have probably never felt so cared for. So so 3 words: free, safe, and I'm gonna say fun again because we have a lot of fun. And I know that some of that comes out of the freedom and the safety, the security. Like, you know, we try stuff, we laugh a lot, we communicate about everything. We don't, there's no embarrassment around anything, there's no judgment around anything, and that's I don't know, it's just really, really wonderful. It's really wonderful.
Wow.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We were listening to the episode, I think, when you did these questions, Kenrya, and it was like talking about like feeling like feeling like those love songs, and feeling like people talk about like a really great relationship and being like, man, that old corny ass shit, but then like feeling that shit and being like, oh my God, like this.
It's unreal.
This don't feel, this is, yeah.
It's just
It
unreal.
is.
And you just feel so, like, I don't know. I wake up every day, like, all this other shit that's happening, but I just feel so blessed to be so loved.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just wild. Like good sex is good, but that shit hit different. Like, I don't know. It's just,
well, God, you're in the blessing business. I see it on my block.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming to this house.
It's coming.
Knock, knock, knock.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's true.
It's true. It's coming.
It's true.
It's coming.
Yeah. It's just wild.
It's wild.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So tell us about a sexual experience that you remember fondly.
All right, fondly. So I was telling my wife about this episode and some of these questions, and so we were having a little debate about the definition of fondly, and if it was like we were both saying like we don't want to be sitting here like being all wistful and like talking about somebody else, you know what I'm saying? But also not being compelled to, just because I'm with you and I'm in love with you, that like you are not my only positive sexual memory, you know? So we were talking about fondly and how emotional fondly is, what do you mean when you say fondly? So I was thinking about 2 things. The first was the first time somebody went down on me. Like, this dude, it just really made my whole entire life. I was so excited that it was happening. And
Code red is happening.
Yeah. Because it was something that I wanted, and my boyfriend at the time wouldn't do it, and I was like, this is bullshit. I know that now. I'm 17, and I know that this is bullshit.
Yes.
And so it was just really great. It was just really, really great. Partly, or probably mostly, because I wanted it and I got it. You know what I mean?
Yes, he was meeting a need. He actually heard you and did what you asked and gave a fuck about whether or not you got it.
Right. And so that is a fond memory, is that the first time. Then the other one that came to me, and I know Jasmine might feel the way because it's about to be immortalized on the internet. We were just early dating, and we used to frequent this club here in Tampa. And so one day, I mean, we were there hanging out. I love dancing. I'm not that great a dancer, but I love dancing. And so I was dancing, and then she was dancing. We were dancing together, was dancing with other people, all this stuff. And then at one point, we were kind of separated. And I remember we kind of locked eyes. And then she came up to me. She's going to be like, I can't believe you're telling people this. But she came up to me and she whispered that she was like, I want to fuck you now. Like, okay. And we went out to her car.
Yes, cousin-in-law.
In the parking lot of this crowded ass club, we went back to her car and got it in. And I was like, it wasn't in that moment that I knew I wanted to marry her, but
looking back,
it helped.
That's dope.
But yeah. That's
awesome.
One of my favorite fond memories of her and our sex.
That's dope.
You know, and I've talked about this on the show. I've never been able to come from head, and it is. I would love to. I'm hoping one day to happen, and I don't blame anybody's technique. It's just me in my head.
Yeah.
But I do have a head requirement, and it's because. Really going back to like how dude wouldn't do it, and you're like, this is what I want. Like, I suck dick. I'm good at it. I enjoy it. It was one of the tools I have in my arsenal. But guess what has to happen? We need some fucking reciprocity.
Yeah.
I'm not gagging on nothing if you ain't gagging on nothing.
Right.
And I was with someone who once upon a time who would do it, but he was just real lackluster. Like he ain't want to do it, and he would complain about me being wet. And I'm like, the fuck is what? Like it's messy.
I know.
It was always something, and I was like, the fuck? How are you complaining? And ultimately, that's what ended up breaking us up because it was it just showed me what his mentality was and what he was willing to put in. And if you're going to fucking complain about this, but you don't have no problem with me sucking your dick, then, and so I remember the last time he complained, I was like, bet, I'm not sucking your dick no more. We were done within a few weeks after that.
Because it's ridiculous.
But it was what it symbolized.
Yes. It's like,
right?
it's one, like when people be like, look for the red flags. That's a red flag to me.
That's a red flag.
And
not sharing your food is a red flag to me. Like, because I'm like, if you don't share your food, you don't eat ass. And I remember I went out to dinner with this guy, and this was like first date. We went out to dinner. I was like, can you believe? And we were eating off each other's plate. I was like, can you believe I went out with this guy and he wouldn't share his food? And he looked me dead, and I was like, he don't eat ass. And I was like,
you're right.
See,
we share the
little
same
things like that tell you what's what.
What you getting into?
It's what's what. Because I've never been shy about, trying anything sexually. Especially, I mean, let's give it a go. And so back when I was dating men, I ain't had I suck a dick, no problem. Like, let's go. Mm-hmm. But then I can't, like you said, exactly. So
I ain't complaining.
That's a flag. That's a flag. And then something interesting happened too. Once I, and when I started dating women exclusively, because I am probably what do they call it, like masculine of center or whatever the shit is, because I don't wear dresses and don't carry a purse. But like this idea that I don't. Like that I'm supposed to always be like the aggressor or the like I'm supposed to, do you. I'm supposed to fuck you. It's like that.
Pillow
Yeah.
princess. You supposed to be with pillow
Yeah,
princess.
that's no. I dated a couple women who were like that, and I'm like, I roll on my back. It's my turn. Like, what's
Right.
what we doing?
Should my knees be up? Damn, what you want?
Right? Yeah, you
something about to go
on
down.
my knees, turn over. Like, what we about to do? And really been like, oh,
yeah.
Stingy
motherfuckers.
Yeah, I can't take no stingy lover. I can't do it. I can't do it.
And I do want to say, I always like to say this when I'm talking about like what folks have to do. The reality is, right, different people have different boundaries and different things that they're comfortable with, and those can be informed by their trauma, by all of that, and that is fine. But that doesn't mean that we have to have sex with each other.
That part.
Yeah.
You are 100%
As for
free.
Me in my house.
Exactly.
In this pussy.
Yes.
That's what's happening. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, what does your sex, other than hot, what does your sex life look like now?
I'm not gonna lie, the working from home and all the pandemic bullshit has played a role in our sex life. We've both been feeling like really exhausted by just things. And neither one of us, like, if I'm not in the mood, I'm not in the mood. And I've been finding that the things that can take me out of the mood are just more frequent, and just, everybody is trying to find their way through. Like, this is going on 2 years. This is a fucked up time. And so work stress, all this stuff. So it's been a lot of intimacy and a lot of talking and just trying to care for each other and be there for each other, which has been welcome. But then we've also been having conversations about, like, because we haven't taken any, like, real trips, other than I took Jasmine for her birthday earlier this year to out to Hollywood Beach, but like, we haven't been anywhere. We haven't done anything. So we've been trying. The other day, no, this was the other day. We were talking about how our dog Night kind of keeps us captive in terms of where we can fuck in our own house. Like, this dude pay bills because he'll come up. Like, so we was shaking it up, and we was like, let's fuck in the guest room. And it's like, it's different place, right? But the bed is lower in there. So we trying to get it on. The dog will get up on the bed and start like licking my foot or my ankle. And you got a decision to make, because like, you can keep going, but then it's like, are you having a threesome with the dog at this point? That's disgusting and gross. Or, do you stop, and then now we got to try to put the dog out the room and close the door, and then he's outside the door.
Yeah.
And that's, nobody wants to fuck while that's going on. So, so what did
y'all do?
So we did end up closing the door. We had to kick him out the room. We closed the door. And so that helps. But like, we just always be trying to keep it fresh and keep each other interested. But we have noticed that we have to work a little bit harder now that we're, both working from home, and everything's just kind of wearing on us. And so, so sex life now is a bit more effort than it has been in the past, in terms of getting in the mood, making the time, kicking the dog out, stuff like that.
How often would you say on average do you have some kind of sexual contact?
Every day. Because, so touch is my love language, is number motherfucking one, okay? And hers is not, though. Her number one is quality time, which is my dead last one. That's my number one. That's my dead last one, which is interesting. But every day, there's some kind of sexual touch going on that goes, that can always be to jump off to something or just in passing. And we have this kind of running joke where it's like, the day I'm not trying to grab your booty in the grocery store is the day something's up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
If you're not in the kitchen, putting up the dishes, and I come up on you and body roll against you, like something is up.
Ask me some
Yeah,
questions.
something is up.
How romantic.
You be like, you know what? Sheree ain't tried to touch my titty in about a week. Something's going on. Who you fucking? And now we have an argument.
Touching?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's always something. It's always something.
Are there certain times of the day that are better for you to have sex just because your brain's better, your mind's clear, whatever?
I am very easily aroused. So it don't matter to me. Her, on the other hand, as it's probably mornings, which, I like anytime basically. But if she wants mornings, it's mornings. She want afternoon, it's afternoon. Just say the word, basically. And I'm just like, at your service. Let's go.
So, where do you guys typically do it, and how long does a session usually last?
In the bedroom. And it depends because Jasmine's very like, let's get to it. Like she likes to get to it. She's
such an Aries.
Is that, yeah, she likes to get, I told you.
Yeah,
I told you. I know that she enjoys kissing, but it's not a requirement for her. She can be like, look at the time and be like, let's see, it's 10:30. I'm going down. So if you want some,
you going
it
down.
needs to happen right now.
right now.
And so in times like that, it's like, let's get to it. And it could be anywhere between, I don't know, 10 minutes to 20 minutes to like get to the business. And I mean, we've been together long enough. If we want to come fast, we know what to do to get in there and make it happen. Now me, I like all the extras. And so if it's, and I have, I guess this is not a safe word, but I don't know what you'll call it. I'll tell her, like, if we've been having too many, like, just like quick get to it sessions, I'll tell her, like, I need some tenderness tonight, or I need a little tenderness. And she'll be like, okay. And so, okay.
Let me stretch.
All right. And that would be, a longer session with all the touching and kissing and all that stuff. But,
Okay.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the best part of your sex life right now?
I would say the freedom of it. Just feeling free to ask for what I want, feeling free to decline if it's something that I don't want to do, and knowing that nothing's attached to it. You know what I mean? The freedom to kind of, be comfortable in my body and know that, like, to know that my body is appreciated and loved and like wanted. Like those feelings are so important for me. And all of that is part of, just feeling free to be yourself and not be judged in anything that you want or don't want. And that's been the best part.
So what's the most frustrating part?
Probably her wanting to just get to the business. Like that gets frustrating at times when I have to, say like, okay, we've been getting to the business a while. Like let's slow down. And yeah, exactly. Like let's slow down. Because I usually have to be vocal about that, and I have to say, like, because if not, we'd always just be like, bop, 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 bop. and you know.
I finished.
Yes, exactly. but I will say it's interesting, and I feel like this is a very Aries thing to do because it don't feel like it's not necessarily revenge, but it feels like, bitch, I told you, right? So like I'll be saying like, man, I could, I need a little tenderness, whatever. But then she'll just like bring it like real quick without no tenderness, and it'll be like awesome. And I'll be like about to pass out, go to sleep, and she'd be like, told you, like, you didn't need all that. You didn't need all that. I just needed to get in there, get to it. So night, talk to you in the morning.
Gotta leave the confidence. That's all
exactly. Like, damn, she was right.
How often do you masturbate?
I would say multiple times a week. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I get nice with myself regularly.
What's your technique now?
We have some toys, but when I don't feel like doing all that, I just rub one out real quick, like in the bathtub, or like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I need to relax, and then that's the sound. That's the sound. And then night. Night, nigga.
So do you ever have trouble turning off the day and focusing on bodily pleasure?
Yeah, as of late.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's like I said, this pandemic shit wearing on, being in Florida, where it feels very hopeless when we have conversations about what, next month is going to look like, what the next season is going to look like. Just the leadership is astounding in its idiocy. Like it's a lot of that. And then again, like just being in this space where I'm, going through career transition and feeling fully supported and knowing that everything's going to be fine, but also anxiety and worry is something that I always have to work on. And so there are times when, my brain just won't stop, and I'll just be, the day is over and it's time to relax, and I can't stop. The wheels just won't stop. And so I've been having to do more things intentionally to try to bring myself into the present moment, whether that be like, okay, I'm just going to listen to some music for a while, or have an impromptu dance party, or let me watch something, or just to get out of that thinking space. Baths do it for me a lot. So yeah, it's been a challenge.
Okay.
So shit. If you could snap your fingers and change anything about your sex life, what would it be?
Snap my fingers, change. I'm gonna tell y'all, I love my dog to death. I do. But I would snap my fingers and make that little nigga disappear sometime, just so I can, I don't know, spontaneously fuck in the kitchen. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
At you.
Yeah, without the dog sitting and staring or licking at my feet or something. Like, seriously.
One time my dog licks himself, and one time we was getting it in, and all of a sudden we heard.
Right. Exactly.
I was like,
exactly.
Dude, we don't need that.
We don't need that.
Yeah.
There's been times. There's been times, and we're, in the bedroom, getting it in, and then you kind of stop and be like, wait, is that you? That's not you making that noise. It's a fucking dog making that noise. That nigga's got to go. He got to go.
Yeah.
So I feel like
y'all just add into all the reasons why my child is never gonna have a pet in my house.
Well, I mean, I don't think I don't know that all dogs are like that, but I know that Knight is a very sensitive little dude. He loves cuddling.
Like, what we doing?
But like he like.
And honey, I'm single, so my dog be like, "What you doing to my mama?" It was a different man last time.
But he would literally. Like, if, like, let's say we making out in the kitchen, he'll come and be like, is that love I hear? And then come in and want to, like, jump up on my legs or her legs and, like, get in the mix. And it's like, this ain't the kind of love that involves you, bro. This ain't for you. So I would like to be able to have a little bit more spontaneity in terms of location and shit, which... I mean, we think we're going to be expanding our family soon, so we might just have to send Knight to stay with his grandma for a couple weeks or something. But yeah,
because
after the kids come, it's over. Ish.
Yeah. So,
that just made me excited.
Little baby cousin. Try not to, but yeah. Okay. What is a sex best practice that you want to share with our listeners?
Sex best practice. I would say it sounds trite, but communication above all things. Like communication, which I feel like encapsulates consent, which is sexy as hell, which encapsulates like knowing what you want and what you don't want and communicating that to your partner. Communication, just talking about it, asking about it, saying what's on your mind, saying when, like anything, like if you can't be open and honest in your communications about sex with the person you're having sex with, that's probably the biggest red flag of all. Even in terms of like whether you're satisfied or not, or what you could use more of or less of. Like if you can't talk those things out freely and confidently without fear of retribution or resentment or some kind of, emotional abuse response, like that's a problem. So being able to think through what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, being able to ask for it, being able to say, no, I don't want that. Like being able to speak your mind and to communicate is the number one ingredient to some top-notch sex, I think.
Good. So, would you rather give up partnered sex or masturbation?
Oh, masturbation. No question. I give it up. As much as I enjoy it, I would give it up.
That's because y'all getting good sex over there. Like, give up sex with my partner? That's amazing.
Yeah, that's
where I'm like, ain't nothing different over here if I gave it up. Yeah.
What do you hope that people will learn from this walk through your sex life?
I don't feel like I dropped no jewels, but I will say that
You see how we looking at you?
I mean, I was really nervous, and I've been a ball of anxiety around talking about my sex life, my sexual past in particular. I think I shared this in a comment of one of y'all shows. I forget who y'all were talking to, but I be all on the comments on the YouTube. It's one of my favorite things to do.
You do. I feel like it's like another opportunity for me to talk to you because I go through and moderate those. And I'm like, it's Sheree. Thank you for always leaving comments.
Mostly when I'm listening at work, because like I put it on, because when I'm at the dumbass day job, I got the 2 screens, and so I'll have y'all up on this screen, and then I'll be doing the college bullshit on this screen. And so something will happen, or somebody will say something, and I'll be like, ah! And then I got to flip over there and say something. So, yeah. I think I forget who y'all were talking to, but I had commented that I used to feel like different kind of pressure in conversation about my sexual history, particularly in terms of the time I spent sleeping with men, and how all of that is part of my story. And I am not one of those lesbians who are like, oh, disgusting dicks. Like, I never felt like that. I don't feel like that. And so if anybody takes anything away, I hope it's that conversations about your sexual history, if you're open to talk about it, like, don't be scared of that shit. Just, I mean, it helps when you're able to talk to 2 people you love and respect. So that makes it easier. But none of it defines you. Nothing you did defines you. You define you, and you get to be the person who decides what matters and what doesn't, what you hold on to and what you let go, and just always just stand in that. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yes.
You did drop lots of jewels. Yeah. And I think someone tweeted a while back, and we got fake offended, where she was like, it was really nice listening to older Black women discuss their sex lives.
Who?
I was like,
what show
who's
that
old?
Is?
Somebody said that about us.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I think that is great that we're having it.
We're
They said old or older?
Older. Yeah.
It's all relative.
But you know what?
It's relative.
But you know what?
And I appreciate it.
But I feel like this is exactly who should be talking about it. But also, I would hope that younger people, I was about to say younger mofos, motherfuckers, but I don't want to disrespect them like that, that are listening, or hopefully they will listen in, because none of this shit even makes sense till you get out of it. And so teens, fucking 20s, like, none of this shit makes sense until you can stop for a minute.
Step back.
And ain't no stopping and stepping back in your teens and 20s. Like, it is go.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking to you like this, right? Ain't nobody. I've collected mentors because I didn't really have my mom around. And so one of the ways that I've always moved through the world is that older Black women would see me and be like, oh, you mine now. And that is so much of how I have moved through the world. But none of them have ever talked to me about
fucking. And they're not.
They never talked to me about bad relationships until we got older and we started talking about their bad relationships, and then we were counseling each other. But I really could have used these kind of conversations in my 20s to help me understand, to know that not want to give me head was a fucking red flag, right? To be able to recognize when the shame of something that some nigga did to me was being placed on me and keeping me silent and keeping me from seeking help. But I didn't know any of that stuff.
That's why this show is so important.
And that's why it's important to have, that's why I appreciate having you on, because you're sharing this. And I feel like this, not that, I don't want to say they're mistakes, but we did this living to help impart this knowledge. At the very least, let me get
go through that so you ain't got to go through that shit.
And let me get some out of this fucking heartbreak and this bullshit.
Even if, and not even if, they will. We gonna make the same shit, but just think about how it feels to be like, oh, I was also fucking up. This person was, and they're okay. Like, every time y'all get on the screen, the mic, whatever, you're an example that you're okay. Like, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna make it through. So I feel like even listening, like not even as a way of like, I did these things so you don't have to. They gonna do them. Like, you know, they gonna do it. But then it's something to say, oh, I don't have to be ashamed of this, or there's people talking about this. I'm not alone in these, you know, preconceived notions or mistakes or whatever that is. And so then it's building a sense of community that's steeped in like, not just like survival from shit, but like thriving and being like, this is okay. Yes. I'm okay. Yeah. This is okay. So yeah, I told my niece, speaking of older, she just turned 21 and I was like, what the hell is going on? But I told her to check this show. Because I also don't want her coming up in the silo that is my family where we didn't talk about sex. Nothing. Same. Nothing. Like my mama just now, she'll send me she sent me a sex joke meme the other day. And I was like, it's cause I'm over 40. She can now make sex jokes with me. Like I feel like I looked at it and I was like, Mama? It's because I'm over 40. And to prove it, when I looked at the details, she sent it to me and my older sister, who's 47.
Wow.
But she didn't send it to my younger sister, who's 35. So I've crossed some thresholds of being able to talk about sex with my mama. Like, now that I'm fucking 40. Like, what is
5 years till you get these memes?
I'm like, what is that? But yeah, so no, like, yeah, y'all, this show is necessary, and takes the stigma and it just makes it fun and inclusive and inviting. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, last question.
Okay,
what is turning you on today?
This conversation, I feel like I'm looking at the time. Shit, my wife is off today because she took off the whole weekend for my birthday. I'm looking at the time. Yes. I got a workshop later, but I might have to go. I might have to go get some tenderness right quick.
Go get some tenderness.
Go get some tenderness right quick. Yeah, that's what's turning me on. Having my birthday and feeling loved is turning me on right now, and this conversation is an extension of that. So yeah,
we love you.
Aww. We do. So you mentioned something earlier, and it was, you know, you're talking about like times of transition and support in your work, and I want to make sure that we don't go without telling folks how they can support your work, because I support your work via Patreon.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do too.
As do you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And we think it's important to give money to people who we love, who are doing work.
I appreciate
doing
that.
Great work.
I appreciate that.
And y'all spend that $15 on some bullshit. Spend it on cousin.
Exactly. So how can folks support your work?
The easiest way to get to everything that I'm doing is to visit my website, ShereeLGreer.com. I have
Can you spell that, please?
ShereeLGreer.com. There's a link to my Patreon where I'm really trying to lean into my creative practice and how that speaks to my building community and helping get even more voices out in the world. I am an independent writing teacher and writing coach. All the ways that you can connect with me are on that website. But also, I have, so my short story collection, Once and Future Lovers, turns 10 next year. And so I put this as a giveaway. I don't know how y'all gonna run it, but I provided a copy of one of my most beloved, I guess people really like this one particular story from the collection for a free download wherever y'all want to post it. In celebration of leaning into this 10th anniversary. I'm going to reissue the book, and we're gonna doing like a book tour, virtual book tour about the book kind of a decade later. So I'd love to chat with y'all again about it. Yeah, so all of this
That's
lusciousness is going on. Sheree L. Greer is a place to find everything. So very much appreciate it.
Word. So y'all will be able to go to the show notes for this episode to get your download.
Free short story.
That's awesome. Can't get no better than that. Yes. Thank you. And I don't want to let you go, but we got to because we've been on for a long time.
It's all good. It's all
Like,
good.
as soon as we can, we gotta do it. We gotta visit you. Y'all gotta visit us. Something, cause
Please.
yeah,
Please.
Yeah.
seeing you and spending time with you makes me realize, like, damn, I fucks with her hard. I miss cousin. We gotta
And I don't actually have a lot of people that I feel.
Yo, I'm trying to tell y'all, the shit just clicked. Like, I was thinking when I took the survey's still going on or it's closed?
It's closed.
It's closed. When I took the survey, it was like, how did you hear about us or whatever? And I was thinking about that first email. And I was like, oh shit, how did I know that this thing was not, how did I not know this was happening? So I looked y'all up and then I listened to all the fucking back episodes. And I was like, oh my God, I love them. Is that weird? And so then when I was on the show the first time, I was like, okay, just be cool because they don't really know you yet, but you feel like you know them because you listen to all them episodes. So like, just be cool, be yourself. I felt like we was on like a friend date or something. And so I was like, just be cool.
Pass the test.
Just be cool. You know what I'm saying? But like, I don't know, shit just clicked. And I don't know, I love y'all so much. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me again. Anytime, every time. Just shout me out.
Again, I'm always gonna say you might regret.
I will not. I will not. I will not. Okay. I don't say that to everybody, so I will not. I'm very thoughtful in who I say anytime, every time to. So I will not regret it.
That's what's up. Yay, right. That's what we love. And we are 100% sure that y'all have not regretted listening to this episode.
At all.
Thank y'all for spending this time with us. And we're going to let y'all go. And we're going to see y'all next week.
Peace.
This episode was produced by us, Kenrya and Erica, and edited by Ballistic. The theme music is from Brazy. Hit subscribe right now in your favorite podcast app and at youtube.com/The Turn On Podcast so you'll never miss an episode.
Then follow us on Twitter at The Turn On Pod and Instagram at The Turn On Podcast. And you can find links to books, transcripts, guest info, what's turning us on, and other fun stuff at theturnonpodcast.com.
And don't forget to email us at theturnonpodcast@gmail.com with your book recommendations and your pressing sex and related questions.
And you can support the show by leaving us a 5-star review, buying some merch, or becoming a patron of the show. Just head to theturnonpodcast.com to make that happen.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. Holla.